Welcome everyone to EnergieGal Holistic Wellness. I'm Lisa, intuitive healer and spiritual guide. I am so passionate about creating a community for us where we are curious, compassionate, and courageous on our soul awakening journey. That adventure of remembering, discovering, and being who we are. Today I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is every single one of us is on an awakening journey, but it looks different than the person next to us. So there is no comparing. Comparison is the killer of joy. There's this quote that I came across that said, if you are copying somebody else's paper, you may get it wrong because you don't realize that their question is different than yours. So often on my podcast, I'll ask people, why do you think that you're here? And do you know that every single person says something different? For me personally, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I came here to experience what it's like to truly forgive somebody, to walk in a space of such unconditional love that I could forgive awful atrocities against me. Other people might say that they came here to experience being an artist or coming out of addiction or being a mother. So I think that everybody has something different that they are here to experience, to wake up and to walk through. And so I think the thing that I want to talk about today is the idea of keep in your own lane. Maybe the person next to you is doing it differently, but that doesn't mean that they're doing it wrong. They have a different test question than you do. And so you're going to come up with a different answer. I heard this and I thought that was quite good. You know how when you put your address into the GPS, so say you are at point A, you want to get to point B, you put the address of point B into the GPS. And you've got usually it's 3 to 5 different choices, ways to get there, whether it's slower, faster, fewer miles, no tolls, only back roads, no back roads, all sorts of different ways. But in the end, all of those routes take you to point B, but in different paths and in a different time. I want to let you know that as we are coming into this season of really, I think hardly anybody out there in the world now is saying, yeah, it's status quo, everything's fine. I think most people realize, holy shit, what the hell is going on? It's a shakeup out there. It's a wake up out there. And people are reacting in different ways. So I think that it's important in this next season for each of us to take responsibility and own our GPS route that we're going to take there and allow others to take their GPS route, believing that they're getting to point B maybe sooner or maybe slower than we are. But outside of time, because time really doesn't matter, we allow that to happen without looking over at the other person and thinking they're wrong or I'm wrong. I must be doing this wrong because mine doesn't look like theirs. So I think what this comes down to is a couple of different things. Allowing ourselves to be on our journey and allowing others to be on their journey. And that may look different, but trusting that we're all getting to the same place, which I don't necessarily think is heaven. I think it's waking up to our God spark. I remember one time my sister had a traumatic event happen. And when her family called me and said, please come quickly. Your sister she's catatonic. We don't know how to reach her. She keeps calling out for you. Excuse me. So I went there and she was laying on the bed, catatonic, and I draped myself around her And I started to spontaneously unpack a story for her. And I asked her to envision all of these people on a journey. Some people were walking, some people were flying, some people were in an air balloon, some people were skiing, some people were in a boat, some people were hiking, some people were crawling. And as she looked at the scene, she could see that everybody was taking a different path and doing it a little different way. But because she was way up high, I asked her to come all the way back up to be able to see the whole scene. She could see that they were all going to the same place, but they were all getting there in different ways and in different times. And there were some people who it looked to be were laying down some cement, building houses in little villages, and that's where they were going to stay. But we had to trust that at some point they would continue on their journey to get to there, that this was the experience they were choosing to have, but that everybody gets there. Everybody has the experience of waking up to their God spark, to who they are as Christ consciousness, as divine, as God, waking up to itself because it purposely forgot so that it could experience itself. So can you imagine that there was a time when God in its essence was just one thing, maybe a tone, like it was just that. It knew nothing but this tone. And it began to ache to want to know itself. But how can it know itself if it always remembered itself? And so, can you imagine that maybe at some point it decided to split itself in half and come away from itself and forget the other part so that when it met itself, it could meet itself as if for the first time. It could experience meeting itself. And so there are times, like with my journey of forgiveness, I experienced the paradox of forgiveness. Well, I experienced very difficult times that could have led, and for a season of time led to a bitterness, until I woke up to experiencing forgiveness. And I'm telling you, I know this sounds like, are you kidding? But I wouldn't trade my journey for anything, because I have experienced utter and deep forgiveness. And that's priceless. It's irreplaceable. The God spark in me is delighted to be experiencing what it was like to be hurt at the core, only to then be able to forgive from the very center of my being. If I hadn't been hurt, there would be no forgiveness. The hurt had to come so that there could be an experience of profound forgiveness. And just so that you're aware, I think I've been on both ends. You know, someone said to me the other day, do you know who you've been in your past lives? I'm like, probably Jesus, probably Hitler, the whole gamut, been it all. So the crux of what I want to share with you today as this energetic download is, as we are out and about on our lives, living our lives today, tomorrow, the next day, you're going to see people around you whose journeys look very different. Please don't assume that they're doing it wrong. Please don't assume that you're doing yours wrong. There's no wrong and there's no right. There's the path that you're choosing to take, which has consequences and leads you to these experiences. And isn't that a beautiful thing? The hell is what we create on earth, this experience sometimes. The heaven is when we wake up to remembering who we are. But to remember, there needs to be a season of forgetting. And that's what people are, this is what we are trying to wrap our heads around now, is that as we are in a season of waking up, there was a season that we chose to forget so that we could wake up and remember. This is the experience that we wanted to have. And more of us are going to be remembering. Like popcorn in a bowl, pop, 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 in the oil there, and it's all popping. And more is being popping, and it's like, oh my God, this is a great party. This is awesome. It's so fun. I don't mean to come across as flippant or like I don't care about all the issues and all the difficult things that are going on in the world. Believe me, as an empath, I feel them. I feel them in my body. But what I am offering to you is that these are the different ways that we are either continuing to forget who we are, or that we are on the journey of remembering who we are. We're all remembering, it's just that some of us are doing it now, and some of us haven't quite yet, but we will. This is the experience we're having. Some days I wish God would just give me a recipe to give you. Let's talk about pie. Oh, I'm not built that way. These are deep, deep matters, deep waters that we are swimming around in. But it's all good. It's all good. So how about a deep breath with me? I allow myself my journey. And how do I know that I'm on the right path? Because it's the path that I'm on, so it must be the right one. You can't get it wrong. If you're taking that GPS analogy, you take a wrong turn, the GPS recalculates, reroutes you. You can't miss getting there. You can't miss arriving at remembering. You can't miss it. So, breath in again. And if there's any fear, we just acknowledge. Sometimes I get afraid that I'm missing it. Just acknowledge that. Allow it to be. Allow that experience to be. And see if, like I advised my sister, you can kind of get yourself to come back a bit and take a look at the whole picture and see that everybody is on their journey. Each one looks different, but we're all getting there. And it doesn't matter when, because time doesn't really count. We were very existential today. Hey, one more deep breath in. If ever you would want someone to listen, I'm here for you. Check the links below. I'm a really good listener. Offer a little bit of advice if you ask for it. We're on this journey together. I love you. And here's a hug.